India would face in the final, of all the teams, it would have to be the 5-time champs, wouldn't it be? It would have to be the Goliath of cricket, ODI cricket. I don't care what anybody says. It would have to be, not the baggy green, because that's Test, but still. It would have to be Australia, wouldn't it? But with all that aside, I'm super excited for this final. Anyone that's a fan of cricket, you've got to be excited for this final. Unless you're a South Africa or New Zealand fan, you would have wanted your teams to get there. Welcome back to Cricket for Americans. Nick here, and I just couldn't do that celebratory excitement video with India making it into the final for the World Cup 2023 if I didn't do it for my boys over in Australia. No, I'm not an Australia fan, but there are so many viewers and subscribers that mean so much to me from this channel and from Boring Reviews from Australia. And honestly, I haven't met an Australian that wasn't completely delightful in every sense of the way. That got to talk about this match, because this match was a huge match. I was telling Gabe, I said, listen, I think South Africa's had a great tournament, so they might be a bigger juggernaut. But you don't want to face Australia. They come up when they need to. And, of course, Australia won. Australia, I mean, this match, I can't say that that South Africa choked. That's the easy narrative, right? The way they started off this tournament, you might use that narrative. Australia started off 0-2. They've now won 8 in a row. I was just super excited about India's 10th win in a row. Australia's won 8 in a row. And I didn't write them off after they were 0-2, but they did not look too good. A team that was not too long ago ranked as #1 ODI in the world at some point. But you can't say, I will not say that South Africa choked. I will say that the reason why they lost this match, if you had to boil it down to one reason why they lost this match, and no, I wasn't able to watch it. God did not bless me by waking me up in the middle of the night to watch some World Cup cricket. But I've watched the highlight videos. I've read as many articles as I could. I went on to Crick Buzz and saw the different things and the loss of the wickets. And in my opinion, especially after watching the highlights of Australia bowling, they won this match because of the pressure they applied upon South Africa and especially their opening batsmen. I mean, who is better in a big-time match to set the tone with that new ball in that first over than Mitchell Starc? We saw the Platinum Duck in the Ashes, and now, what was it, the 4th or 5th ball, boom, he takes the scalp of what? Who was it? Was it the captain? I got to look it up. Now I'm doubting myself. I think it was the captain, Bavuma. Whoever it was, he set the tone. Yeah, Bavuma on the 6th ball, on the 6th ball. Starc is the guy you want with that new ball. He sets that tone. And when India plays him in the final, they need to survive his first 5 overs bowling. They need to survive that first partnership he's in. It'll probably be with Hazelwood like it was today. Maybe not. Maybe Cummins puts himself in the opening partnership. I doubt it. Even though it is going to be in a location at Modi Stadium, which is a little more inducive for spin. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But that set the tone. De Kock doesn't lose his wicket until the 6th over, but that one definitely hurt. Captain hurts. De Kock, who's had 4 centuries going into this match in their 9 previous matchups and the other teams, you got to have him go off, and he gets you 3 runs. The bowling attack of Hazelwood and Starc to start off, and they started off bowling quite a few overs, there was so much pressure. They were so sharp, and sometimes it was almost like Test cricket. It really, really was. Bavuma's wicket was that edge right there to, I believe, the wicket keeper. I can't remember whose wicket was. It wasn't in the first 5 overs, obviously, but eventually, whether it was Vander Dussen or Markram, that was another edge right there to the slip, for crying out loud. To who was that? Steve Smith? You also had another, was it an edge or just a missed shot to David Warner, right? And it's funny because David Warner catches that, and I don't know how he has a kind of concentration. He catches it, and as he catches it, he's starting to celebrate. I mean, even Steve Smith's catch right below the mommy-daddy button, right? He starts to celebrate too. He's all hopping around. The enthusiasm that Australia is playing with, the confidence that they have as the fielders with the bowlers. When your bowlers put that kind of pressure on the opposition, I mean, you're going to raise your spirits, you're going to raise your confidence, and that to me was what really sealed the deal. It was something like the 20th over, and South Africa had like 66, 67 runs. You go on the flip side to Australia, where they had like 100 runs at the 20th over, the same spot, 110 runs, something crazy like that. I mean, it was very huge disparity. You had your player of the match, Travis Head, rightfully so. Because just when South Africa is starting, not that they were ever really going off, they scored a total of 212. That's not going to get it done. They got bowled out, but not till the final over with just a few balls left. But when they started to get some kind of a partnership going, and it was really nice to see Clausen do what he was doing or whatever with Miller. But with him and Miller, Travis Head is what just put a kibosh to that. When Clausen was at 47 runs, he put an absolute kibosh to it. Your spinner comes in. I mean, he's doing his best impression of a Shohei Ohtani. If you don't know who he is, look him up. Baseball, he's an all-star pitcher and an all-star batter. And you don't see that in baseball since the 1920s with Babe Ruth. But Travis Head, before he goes on and scores a 60 as an opening batsman, this guy, it's really impressive to see Travis Head. And I don't know if he's talked about as much as he should be, whether it's Test or ODI. This guy is turning into the guy you have to have on your Australian squad. It's extremely impressive. He makes me very nervous. He makes their lineup very, very long, even though he's one bat, because wherever you put him, I think Test, he bats usually a little later. I don't know. He was opening here. He just extends that. He is such a good player, and he gets that huge wicket of Clausen. He gets the catch on Miller later on, but then he gets a huge wicket of Jansen, Golden Duck, Jansen, however you say his name, LBW. This guy can do it all, for crying out loud. And I hesitate to say he is the all-star of the team because that's very in the moment. But he's one of them. He's a guy that, as an Australia fan, you love having him. So the pressure was placed. They bowled him out 212. Hazel was fantastic. Stark was fantastic. Head had what he had. Cummins comes in later on and cleans some stuff up. Cummins had that great catch. Which catch was it? Was it the first? No, it was DeCock. Great catch. Concentration. Falls down. Who cares? Sacrifice the body. I got the catch. They put the pressure on. When I wake up, it was around that time. And I'm like, oh, here they go. South Africa absolutely choked. But it was the pressure they applied. And then batting. Talking about yesterday's match with the pressure. And real quick. It wasn't all roses. Adam Zampa was just giving up the entire farm, which is interesting. He's going to play a very important part. I assume he's going to be in the starting 11 in the final at Ahmedabad, where the spinning track, you're going to have him as a spinner. You're probably going to have Maxwell and Head available to spin as well. It's crazy they don't have a second full-time spinner, but he's going to play such a huge part. He owns Kohli in the IPL and other domestic leagues. He's going to play a pivotal part against India. But here, South Africa was eating him up. He had one full toss. Oh, my gosh. It was like the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was, in baseball, we call it just a hanger. Breaking ball that goes really high and then drops right in the zone. Picture perfect. Of course, it was a 6. He got lit up as far as lit up goes for the bowler's highest economy rate. But then the batting side for Australia. Australia is so good. It doesn't matter what decade you're in. They have ice water running through their veins. They really, really do. They are able to come up. Travis Head sets the tone 62. David Warner gives him a little bit of a partnership. He lasts for 29, which on today was really, really good enough. It was all you needed. Mitchell Marsh, Duck, Smith, Labuschagne, nothing to write home about. I felt like the biggest part in this match, because before you know it, where was it at when they lost their 6th wicket? It was the 34th over and they lost the 6th wicket. They lost Steve Smith's wicket. That was a point where I was thinking, okay, they're only about 40 runs away, but you get another wicket, maybe 2. You just have the tail. Now, Australia's tail wags. I wasn't expecting Stark to get more than 10 runs, but Cummins, he can bat a little bit from what I've seen. But Josh Inglis was the quiet MVP. Obviously, Travis Head was player of the match, but Inglis had the most important innings, in my opinion, of all the batters, because you had the momentum starting to fade away. You needed someone to stay pat, to just eat up some balls. He ate up, 49 balls. 49 balls, he got 28 runs. He could not get taken out when, as South Africa, you needed to take him out. You had plenty of overs. You just needed about 39, 40 runs, and he got 28 of them. My math could be off, 50 runs, I don't know. But you didn't need a lot of runs. And he was able to provide it. Mitchell Stark got 16. Cummins, they ended not out with 14-30 combined. But I really was impressed with what Ingles was able to do. He was so pesky. You couldn't get him out. He had himself 3 boundaries, but the other 2 bowler batsmen had 2. He was really, really impressive. Going back to batting, how do you have 212 runs for South Africa, but one of your guys still gets a century? I mean, nobody else. Clausen and Miller, 148 runs combined. Everyone else was, what, 60 runs? It's crazy. I just want to mention David Miller, huge knock. He did everything he could to stay in that match. He had a lower strike rate, but he got that century. And a day like today where it wasn't really high scoring, I mean, Australia got 215, but they were in the 48th over. It's not like they were going to get 300 runs in this match. The bowling is what really mattered, and it was all about the pressure. It was all about how sharp the opening bowlers were and how sharp Travis Head was on both sides, and that was your match. And then Josh Inglis staying pat and not giving up that wicket, not being careless with that wicket. That was the story of this game, and now you have Australia and you have India. 2 behemoths, 2 teams that have not lost in their last 8 matches. India's won 10 in a row. Australia's won 8. And I got to clarify myself. My man John W., appreciate you. It was 34 wins in a row that Australia had as far as the streak goes in World Cup matches. 34. I thought 25 was impressive. 34, absolutely impressive. Australia's got the pedigree. India has had a different narrative, a different pedigree. They're at home. And I feel like, especially in tests, Australia really struggles against India in India. I know this isn't test, but you got to take that to your advantage. It will be, in my opinion, a lower scoring track than where India was at in Mumbai. It should be higher scoring than this match was. Somewhere in between. I'm not sure what the weather's going to be like, but it's going to be a high-powered, very, very awesome, exciting, most impressive, whatever you want to call it, most impressive match final. The 2 teams that you want to see in there, and you're either going to have Australia with their 6th, that's right, 2 hands to count them, 6th ODI World Cup, or you'll have India with their 3rd. Either way, we're going to have a multiple of 3 here, so that's cool with all your math fans out there. I love this match. Even though I did not want to see, as an India fan, did not want to see Australia there, how can you not root for a team that has the grit that Australia has? I mean, Maxwell, their hero not too long ago, he gives you 1 run, but you didn't need him. It's going to be interesting to see what bowling lineup they have, because they have the advantage of Zampa, and then you have your 2 batters that can spin. Will Steve Smith get an over or 2? Probably not, but that'd be kind of cool in a World Cup final. It'll be interesting to see who India goes with. Obviously, Kuldeep Yadav is going to be there. Are they going to have 2 full-time spinners, or are you going to have Yadav with Jadeja able to spin a little bit? I would assume you'd have to have someone else. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. I mean, is Rohit Sharma going to bowl it up? Probably not. So we'll have to see what happens there. A lot of decisions, a lot of excitement. It's coming up in just a few days. If you're excited, go ahead and comment below. Let me know what you're excited about. Specifically, who do you want to win? What did you love from this semifinal match? South Africa fans, you can have your head held high, as I read it in one of the articles on Crick Buzz, because they really did their best. They were outclassed against the bowling in today's matchup, but they still tried. They still had that heart, and they just weren't able to get it done. But there you have it. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what your thoughts are. Please do me a huge favor and like and subscribe if you don't mind. And until next time, adios.